Today, I'm leading the show with a conversation on what happened on Christmas Day. Some people have described it as a Christmas Day present from the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump. And to join me in that important conversation, I have two eminent Nigerians. Here in the studio, I have General Anthony Atolagbe, who was the first commander of Operation Safe Haven, and also was the sector commander of the AU-UN hybrid mission in Sudan. General, welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thank you.
All right.
Good day to listeners.
All right. Now, joining us virtually all the way from Boston is Professor Nimi Wariboko. Professor Wariboko is the Director of African Studies in Boston University and also is the G. Mueda Professor of Social Ethics in that university. Prof, welcome back to Inside Sources.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I look forward to a great discussion.
All right, excellent. We're going to start with the general who's going to give us some insight, some military insight into what happened on Christmas Day. What it is that the military did and what we should be looking forward to. So, General, can you run us through that review quickly?
Okay, this is not a military kind of review. It's made easy for public understanding. And I will start by, first of all, giving what we call the public narrative phase. Late October 2025, the country was declared CPC. Then early November 2025, there was warning that there will be gun ablazing. December 2nd, there was Nigeria Religious Freedom, Protection and Counterterrorism Act that was sanctioned in the parliament with 258 votes. What do we get from this? There were warnings. And then we pushed into the diplomatic phase, and then all this provided the credibility to the expectation of a future action. There certainly is going to be a future action following all these three areas that I have mentioned. And then we look at what were the considerations. We first of all talk about the planning. There were planning going on at the United States African Command. And then by late November, there was increase in the US intelligence gathering. We heard about flights over Nigeria, some parts of Nigeria. Then there were intelligence coordination between the Nigerian government personnel and that of the Americans. And what is this supposed to give us? We start talking about targeting. We talk about high-value target, HVT. And then these ones takes us into, first, there were significant terror attacks against civilians and security forces, expansion of ISWAP, Lakurawa influence, confirmed intelligence of terror planning, and then requests by the Nigerian government for foreign support, that is them coordinating with the Americans, then evidence of cross-border operational bases. And these are the areas that we actually put into focus in the conduct of the operation. Then in the conduct of the operation, yes, we see a go-ahead given by our president, and then we talk about where are these locations. We have the northeastern Nigeria, northwestern Nigeria, north central, and the surroundings. We talk about the border and the regional borders, regional corridors. We all know, we don't need to go into the details because most of us listening, we know where these locations are. I want to talk about the targets now, where the bombs dropped. We'll be able to establish two locations extensively within Bauni Forest Axis in Tangaza, which is considered the ISIS enclave. And then there were military camps in Waria and in Al-Kazim. Then there were border routes that are used constantly by these guys and which needed to be knocked off. So
all those places were touched?
They were all touched. And then the key details regarding the strike, that we saw that there were some follow-up actions, especially the incident in Ofa. Okay, some shrapnel debris when there's a kind of load shedding when the the missile is going to drop. And then these are some of the things that happened, and then some of them dropped on some buildings in Offa. And
so even though the attack was on Sokoto, you had some of these things dropping in Offa.
Yeah,
is it because they are closely of proximity?
No, what happened is that I think what really takes place is that when these missiles are moving, because of the way they are made,
right,
and they are made in such a way that they are controlled, you need to take off some things from its body before
it lands.
It lands finally.
Okay.
So some of this shedding is what must have taken place
in Offa,
over Offa.
Okay,
before before it now came down.
Right.
You recall, so you recall that I was mentioning in one of the last session we had on this program that Americans have the capacity to deliver sufficient firepower on some targets within Nigeria, and I was even talking about B-52 bombers and the rest of it, and it was like it's not possible.
You excited horse with the B-52
and look at it. We are talking about Tomahawk deployed 1,000 kilometers away from where he's supposed to hit the target. And this is, I just talk quickly about the weapons. We talk about these Tomahawk cruise missiles, and then we talk about where it's deployed over the Gulf of Guinea. This is a weapon that can cover a distance of about 1,000 to 1,550 miles. We're talking about 1,600 kilometers to 2,500 kilometers. So we're talking about twice the size of Nigeria. It can cover that distance.
Wow.
As far as Mali, as far as Tunisia or thereabouts, still firing from the coast of Lagos. Okay. And then we talk about the speed. We talk about aircraft, a missile that is moving at 880 kilometers per hour. This is almost the speed of sound, or even more.
Right.
So, and then we talk about the payload, 450 kg, that is 1,000 pounds. It's not any mean weapon that we can think about. So, and then we talk about the features. It has stealth capability without necessarily being detected. It can loiter, that is, it can hang and delay, and it can be redirected. You know, it's not as if it's just moving without direction. No, it can be directed, it can be swayed to another direction and say, okay, this target has moved from this location, let us follow it to this other location. Wow. These are some of the capacities.
Of the Tomahawk.
Yes, we talk about MQ-9, which is the Reaper. This one is the one that they used on one of the field commanders, Suleiman of Iran. We recall, he was just coming outside of his hotel or one of his meetings, and then they just knocked him off with his convoy.
Wow.
So
was this also this kind of drones were also deployed?
This was also deployed, and it carries 16 warheads on it. It's so massive and it's so big, but still it's a drone on its own.
Okay.
So we talk about what were the Nigerian armed forces also doing. We have Alpha Jet, L-39, and our helicopters also, they were on standby. And that were also doing some reconnaissance around the area to prevent any interruption or any disturbances to the operation.
So it was truly a collaboration.
Yeah, it was a collaboration. And then so we look at what is the future of the operation without me predicting that anything will happen. We have also heard from the American government that there is more to come.
Right.
And even the Nigerian government also has lend their voice to that. So summary, we see the intervention of the Americans in the affairs of Nigeria, especially in terms of security. What people need to understand is that security, especially when it comes to a widespread terrorist organization like ISIS, ISWAP, and the rest of them, is not limited to one country. It's not limited to one country. So just as they're operating here, they're operating in other places. Should we allow them to continue the spread? No.
Okay.
And do we have the firepower and the other components to do this? Yes, we have. But then if we get the collaboration of any other major force outside of Nigeria, then they are welcome. And that is just what is playing out in this matter.
Thank you so much for this insight. Now, so actually, in a tweet, Congressman Riley Moore has said that they actually used 12 Tomahawk missiles, which is quite considerable.
Yes.
And your explanation has also further enlightened us. Let's take it to Prof, who is in the United States. Prof, I know that we have talked about this American intervention. I want to ask you, what's your take with what had happened?
The first is the first is the narrative, right? So if you listen to the general, he presented the narrative as fighting ISIS terrorists or terrorists all over the world, and they need to be taken out. But and many people in Nigeria, most Nigerians will agree with that, because we feel the impact of the terrorists or so. But the initial narrative was purely seen as a Christian genocide, and that kind of people say is it or so, and rather than making it look like it's a terrorist act, and therefore you take them out whatever they are. So there was initial controversy about the narrative of Christian general. Not that that is not important, but from what the general have said, it appears it's a bigger fish that they're trying to get. And then the second part is that in this country, United States, with the MAGA movement and the president, it was presented as, taking out Muslims on a Christmas day as a gift. Some of these do it right, and that was very, very insensitive. Once again, it plays into the religious divide of Nigeria, rather than saying they are terrorists, whether they're Muslims or they're Christians, whoever, they needed to be taken out of the of the play. So that is there. But then the third issue is the nature of the collaboration. Now, the Army General have given us more insight into the nature of the collaboration, right? But when that initial announcement came out from the president's office, the press release, it was very disturbing, because it looks like Nigeria had ceded its sovereignty. We are collaborating with a foreign government to almost, like you can say, invade or attack our sovereignty, or bomb us, and so that press release was not nuanced enough. So, because people are saying, fine, yeah, we need to take out the terrorists, right? But at the same time, Nigerians had both Atom and Year had some reservation about foreign government intrusion into our stuff, and the press release was a very bad job that they did. They did not really, and they didn't prepare Nigerians that, look, there is some intelligence sharing collaborations going on, so that it will sit well within a context. But they released that they put out that press release, and it looked like, wait a minute, a foreign government just entered into our airspace and did all that. Even if for good, there should be some reticence or some kind of acknowledgement that we are an independent country. And I think the president and his team, or his media handlers, did a bad job in portraying the whole thing as a pure neo-colonial effort, imperialistic effort of America, in the way they easily presented it. We are as if you are calling somebody outside to come and discipline your child, and you are happy, rather than laying it out as this general has done. He gave it more nuance and intelligence sharing. The Air Force was ready. So and in fighting international terrorism, countries have always collaborated. So, but you see, they did a very bad job.
Yeah. I mean, a very, very important point, Prof. And that was why, the general took the pains to go through those analyses, that he had authored and sent to us, And so I want to take it to him that, so you just like Prof said, you have framed this in a global way. That look, there are problems that are multinational, transnational, as it were, and that they targeted terrorists that had operations, across the region. The question that I wanted to ask you is that, can you tell us a little bit more of how the Nigerian military, has been involved in that effort, that understanding that, look, this is not just a Nigerian local problem. Can you tell us a bit more of that, so that we can help the understanding of our people, not to see this as, well, just like Prof said, where they just came to invade our country, and we're not even sure. I mean, it's actually your own analysis that for the first time gave information. I'm sure Prof noted that, because when you were telling us that some Nigerian fighter jets were even involved, I don't know that information is even out publicly. Foreign Affairs just issued a statement and said collaborative, without showing any kind of evidence. So, General, tell us, for how long has the Nigerian military been involved in this kind of transnational, and try to educate our people more about that?
Okay, let's look at the operations of ISWAP, for example. ISIS is coming from a different direction, from the Levante and the rest of it, then coming down through Libya, and then supporting Boko Haram and the rest of it. But now we talk about ISWAP, Islamic something for West African province.
Yeah.
That's the name. So where are they? We're talking
Islamic State in West Africa province.
Yeah. These guys are based within a place we call a triangle. There's a triangle between the borders of Niger, the border of Mali, and the border of Algeria.
Okay.
Yeah, so from the base, from the lower part of Algeria,
right,
that is where their base actually is located. But then they operate within this place we call the triangle. And then they filtered into Mali, and they started supporting the High Commission for the Tuaregs that were fighting the Malian Defense Forces. They are the ones who are giving support to them. So while we were in Mali, we have confrontations with ISWAP so many times.
When you say we, what we mean?
That is the mission, the UN mission that was there.
Okay.
We had the UN mission, and we also had a parallel force that was launched by France. Yes, they call it Barkhane, Operation Barkhane. So it's a parallel force. We talk about a parallel force when a force is generated by another country but does not form part of the core UN operations.
Okay.
So that force is a parallel force. So they were the ones fighting in the northern part of Mali, confronting these the Azawads,
right,
the Tuaregs,
right,
that were fighting the Malian Defense Forces. So now when you look towards Algeria, you now see this ISWAP. And then they spread, moving into Niger up to some part of Sudan. So you see a situation where there is a spread that takes them along the northern hemisphere northern part of Nigeria, of Burkina Faso, of Ghana, and the rest of it, just operating within that. And this particular route is supposed to be a kind of drug route where people are taking drugs and moving to go and sell. How far they usually travel, I cannot exactly tell.
So how long has that corridor been inclusive of northern Nigeria? How long ago has that been happening?
Okay, the first time I got exposed to this was when we had a conference in Mauritania. And in Mauritania, we were supposed to have the conference of the G5.
Okay.
Then I saw Nigeria.
Who are the G5?
That is, the G5 are the 5 countries of the Sahel.
Okay.
Okay. So
Nigeria is not.
We are not a member, but because of the activities of ISWAP and the fact that we also have some part of Nigeria that is of Sahel nature.
Yeah.
So we form part of so when
and where was this conference that you found out?
In 2013.
Okay.
So we got into the meeting. I went from the UN mission.
Okay.
And then we got there, and then I saw the ambassador, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs
from Nigeria.
Yes.
That was in 2013.
Yes, and we even have some of our Nigerians who are also working within the Sahel also as part of our own personnel.
In the UN.
You know, within the Sahel.
Okay, working for the federal government.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was when I got to know, they gave me the awareness that, oh, this type of thing goes on. And then
and Nigeria is included.
Yes, Nigeria is included.
There were implications for Nigeria.
Yes. So the point I'm trying to make is that whatever is happening within the Sahel, definitely we are also involved. And then we see these guys who call themselves ISWAP operating within this region. Definitely, if their activities are causing problems within the Nigerian state, then a country has offered to come in. Yes, definitely. They are not only fighting them because of Nigeria. They is to diminish their power, is to diminish their influence, and to diminish that kind of easy maneuvering within the region around. Because I still see them going after them, perhaps into other countries after this.
Interesting point. Prof, I'd like to bring it to you, and it's something that I've been thinking about that I'm going to ask you now. So Congressman Riley Moore told us that 18 Tomahawk missiles were used. So the question, Prof, is that you are there in America, you can give us an insight. Who is going to pay the bills for those 18 Tomahawk missiles? What is the implication that America is spending? And I'm coming to General to give us his own take. That costs money. I remember the last time the General was here, we were talking about the B-52 bomber. And of course, there was a debate between two generals here, and I think it was General Akem that said, oh, look, that is too expensive. Americans will not even do it. But now, this Tomahawk missile is going to cost a lot of money based on what they have told us. How do you read that, Prof?
Yeah, thank you for the question. We can look at it firstly. Trump has a habit of sending bills later, so he might actually reach out to Tinubu at some point, or the country, to say, how do we
settle this
bill? Because he's big on America first. He's not going to spend. So you either pay directly, or you pay through some business deal opening doors for American businesses. So Trump is a businessman, and we should expect the bill to come at some point, whether he's going to send us a bill to write a check or something like that, or impound or take part of our foreign reserves, or a deal through which American companies have access to Nigeria in a different way. And that takes us to the next issue. Then what is the business interest, the national business interest of America in doing that? So that is something we need to look at for. And since this debate started in October, people have said, what is economic interest in America, for America in Nigeria? What are going to that will show up one way or the other. It will be around to know. Then the third aspect to look at it is the strategic interest of the West, right? And the United States. From the United States point of view, Trump has a religious base, the evangelicals, to please and show that he's doing something for his own political reason in America. But for the global American interest and for Western interests, we also have to be wary about France and American interests in West Africa. It's not, we know that the ISWAP has interest in West Africa, and we don't want that, but we should not be ignorant that America and France are involved in these things, not out of altruistic purposes. There are national and global interests to protect their access to certain resources, to increase their leverage, their leveraging power on some governments in the region, and at some point, they are going to extract some value. I mean, there is no free lunch. At some point, there is no free lunch. So Trump may say he's doing it for Christians or so. As good as that is, it doesn't exclude the fact that there are setting regional and global interests of the West, especially France and the United States, in controlling that part of West Africa. And that we need to be watchful. But of what good is it for us to be watchful anyway when we have a country that is not functioning? Are we in any place to even stop them from doing what they want to do? And that is the plight and the pity of Nigeria.
What's your perception about the collaboration? Do you think that there is indeed an effective collaboration, number one? And do you think Nigeria doesn't get a benefit, or do you think Nigeria gets a benefit from this American intervention?
And anyway, the collaboration, right, when President Trump first made the announcement, it looks like it was a unilateral action, but we are not surprised. That is the way he talks. But then the African base came out and said there was some collaboration. And now on your show, we have learned more of that, of that collaboration. So we've got to be very careful. Yes, there need to be collaboration to fight terrorism. But remember, the issue in the history and the dynamics of African neocolonialism has always been a local ruling class bourgeoisie that collaborates with foreigners. So that is what colors this thing, right? Yes, it may be for a good purpose, but we know since independence in the 1960s or before that in Africa, the ruling class have always collaborated in a way with outsiders that ultimately does not augur well for the interests of the country, and that's where people are being worried, right? Yes, there is collaboration, maybe on its own. Is good or might be seen to be good when all the facts are out. But given the history of our people, our ruling class in Nigeria, the way they've always collaborated to sell out the interests of the nation, that is why people are skeptical. And that's why I'm also a little skeptical that is there more to this collaboration in the long run and the short run that we do not know.
Okay. Very important thoughts to keep in mind. So General, I know you wanted to also talk about the cost, because 18 Tomahawk missiles. I mean, you described how they work. Those things must be very expensive. What's your take about that?
Well, I just look at it that just like what the prof has said, these are not a trade by barter kind of thing on the table. There are measures that are taken by governments to see how some of these things are secured. And I know that just like the prof has also said, some areas of other agreements with the Americans may not be made public. And it's left to government to decide on how and when they will be able to reimburse or to take, because we're not talking just about the weapons on the Tomahawk. There were another 16 on MQ9. So it's not just...
What was MQ9?
MQ9 is the Reaper. They call it the MQ9 drones. Yeah, the drone. It's just one big drone that, I mean, it has one formidable capacity that it flies into almost 1,000 miles away without refueling. So it's made, I mean, to have that level of capability.
Okay, but one question for you before we then go into conclusion. General, what is your own view? I mean, could we have done this kind of routing, or are we able to, on our own, defeat these guys? Do you see this intervention, involvement of the Americans as something that is an imperative?
It will be difficult to do a summation on that at this moment. This is just the beginning, as we are told. So there are other strikes that will likely come. And then when we see the intensity, and then we see the devastation, we'll be able to say, perhaps we will have been able to achieve this, or it is with the support of the Americans that we're able to get to this point. But at this particular point in time, and in which it's not going to be okay to let the Americans reveal their intentions to us or where their next strike is going to be. So it's not something that will be able to make any deduction at this moment, yes.
Yeah.
But what I know is just about, you can see that the armed forces is building capacity from time to time.
Yeah.
And you can see that the government of this particular time has been doing a lot to make sure that I'm aware there are some, I think, other aircraft that are being procured, ordered, and these are the ones that are put in the public domain. And there are other ones like this, where ammunition and the rest that are coming from America. It was not there before. We were not hearing about it. It was just now that America made it public and said, we are giving you this, we are giving you that. So in so many areas, I know that and with other collaborations that we are having, both on some bilateral and multilateral arrangements, we are getting support from other countries, and definitely, if this capacity is made robust enough, I'm thinking that what we have been fighting for 10 years, 20 years, we can end it in 1 or 2 years.
Wow. Last question, Prof. We'll give you the last word. What is the situation with the Nigerian community in the United States since this attack? And then, because you are in the US, how is this being reported in the American media? Last word, Prof.
One of the things people are concerned with, like, they don't want to analyze what has happened on Christmas Day in Nigeria as purely a military affair. The issue is who is in the country has his or eyes on the social and political implications of all that will come from this. It's not just a military affair. It's not whether you support ISIS or not, or terrorists, or you don't support terrorists or genocide or not, but are there possible implications, social, political, and economic, outside the purely military terms of looking at this, that what Trump has done, the effect of the bomb and everything, what will be the fallout? This is something that the government also needs to do. In the United States, the Nigerian community is divided. There are people that really celebrate Trump for doing this thing because they feel like he's doing the work of a good Christian, trying to stop the killing of Christians, and they see him as a man of his word. He said he was going to do it or so. But there's also another segment of Nigeria that know the man's history, the way he behaves with people of black and brown people, and his general attitude to say, can we really trust this president? Are we seeing all that we need to see? What is the long run game that America is playing that we do not know? And because they don't trust our home government of actually well prepared, patriotic enough, and committed to go toe to toe with America. So people are a bit skeptical. But on the whole, whether they're happy or they're not, the issue of sovereignty is at stake, right? I mean, how come Nigeria, we don't even know some of these places very well. How come the Nigerian army couldn't do this in Sokoto? Everybody was focused on the Northeast and all this stuff, and these things were going on. How come the Nigerian army wouldn't, even if they don't have Tomahawk missiles, why those same Air Force that is collaborating with Trump or went to Benin Republic couldn't have done anything about ISIS that are not as trained as the Nigerian soldiers?
Very, very important questions, Prof. And that's why we keep bringing you on this show. You probe issues and you put all of us to the task with your very tough questions. Thank you so much for coming to Inside Sources, Professor Nimi Wariboko and General Antonio Atolagbe. Thank you for those very deep insights that you have shared today. You have even made the job easier for the president's communication team, because the things you told us today, nobody has even told us. And we know that you know what you're saying because the facts are there. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources.